Hi Virgo, welcome to your mid-September 2017 General Tarot Update. It's Rena here. So just shuffling the cards, and before I begin, just want to let you know that I do have other readings on YouTube for September. So if you're not subscribed, you may not know that and think this is the first one I've done for the month. No. Au contraire. See, I'm speaking a lot of French today. No, but seriously, yeah. So just look on my channel and you'll see love reading for September. And what else? Well, the general forecast for September. And the other thing, too, I want to let you know is that on Vimeo, I have I call it a special reading because I created it. It's a different spread that I use, and it's specifically for singles. It's called Ready for Love, and that is for September. But really, I really shouldn't say it's for September. It's just when people are ready to move on and start a new relationship, and kind of more instructional. And so the timing issues are present in the video, but I think it's kind of timeless in a lot of ways. So that I will leave the link for that below, as well as a link to my website for personal readings, if that's something that interests you. But this is going to be like an update for the reading that I did earlier for September for Virgos. Oh, interesting. Very nice. Okay. And speaking of timing issues, it's kind of difficult because we're talking about when I'm filming this, what I'm referring to, and also the fact that because it's the tarot, to me, it's a lot more symbolic than specific, the way that it is when you look at astrological charts. You can see there's certain dates that certain planets move into certain signs. So it seems like more scientific, and this seems more like a spiritual thing. And I like both of them for those reasons. I like the precision of an astrological chart, and I like the spiritual dimension of a tarot spread. So this is why I kind of demonstrate both of these ways of kind of trying to gain insight into our lives from something beyond our intellect. Okay. So for you, Virgo, this is the heart of the matter, the Tower card. Well, even if you have no clue about what the Tower card represents specifically, if you look at it, what does it suggest to you? I think a lot of people would say calamity, right? Something that, like, all hell breaking loose. And it's meant to give you that vibe, because you see how the lightning bolts are striking it. There's something going on. Now, this could be in your psyche, where it's like an aha moment on steroids, where you're like, oh, so that's what's been going on. It could be like finding something out that is very surprising, but maybe in retrospect isn't surprising at all. Maybe when you really sit down and think about it, the typical one is your partner cheating, let's say. And you walk in and they're cheating, and then in retrospect, you say to yourself, well, you know what? He or she was pulling away from me for 3 months prior to this. I knew something was going on, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then you start to connect the dots. But in that moment, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? This is very shocking. Or something to do with work, in a work environment. And this happens quite a bit, where somebody gets fired and they had no prior warning of it. They didn't threaten the person. There was no hint of it. And yet when they sit and think about it later on, they say, well, you know, I noticed that there were a lot more closed door meetings, and I was always feeling this vibe of like unease, and I couldn't figure out why I was feeling this way, because nothing had changed on the surface. Don't fear the Tower card, Virgo. This could be something that has already happened. As I record this, I'm recording this on the day of the full moon in Pisces, so perhaps it has to do with your partner. When the sun is in your sign, the sun is in the first house, Pisces is in the opposite house, the 7th house of committed partnership. Full moons can bring revelations, finding out something about your partner. And that thing can be very shocking in some cases if you were kind of going along in a very, I was going to say a deluded state of mind, but maybe you weren't deluded. Maybe you simply thought everything was fine and you discovered otherwise. I think that the more out of touch you were in your relationship, if this is a personal thing, then the more this will be a shock to you. But if you are a very aware type of person, a very sensitive person, chances are it won't come as a big shock to you, whatever is going on. It may be a sudden event, but it won't be shocking. But the people that are the most narcissistic, wrapped up in themselves, they're the ones that tend to experience these types of situations the most intensely, because they never gave it a moment's thought before. Virgos tend to be very aware of things on the mundane level, noticing little details, noticing when something is out of place. So whether this transfers to behavioral changes, I don't know, but I think so. I think that the average Virgo would be able to detect that. But this could, you know, this could be something. The Tower card can also point to the air being cleared, but it could be simply something. I mean, even I'm recording this with the natural disasters that have been occurring in the United States. We've had back-to-back serious hurricanes, and now we're awaiting the second hurricane. And this is Irma. And the Tower could be, you know, talking about somebody who's been displaced due to a natural disaster and what that means. But I was going to say, well, this is the natural disaster because this is the past position. So that might be a bit of a stretch for some of you, but in the past position, we have the Knight of Wands. So this could be a personal issue. This is connected to the sign of Sagittarius, and some of you Virgos tend to become attracted to Sagittarians. And this is because you both are mutable signs, and Sagittarius forms a square to Virgo. So there can be kind of an irritating attraction where you clash. I could see like employees. You clash in certain ways, and then that clashing produces, maybe it's like a physical chemistry or attraction. And you might bicker with that person, but there's that sense of attraction to them as well. This is a person, if this is a person in your life or was in your life, this is a womanizer, for lack of a better term. Somebody said to me, because I said, what is the female version of a womanizer? I used the term man-eater, and somebody thought that was really funny because, you know, that sounds that sounds so sexist. But why is it okay to call a man a womanizer? I stick up for men. I like men. I'm one of those women who really like men. So have predominantly women watching as viewers, but for those men watching out there, I want you to know I have your back. But I'm going to use the term womanizer because I can't think of a better word. Let's say, or we could say a player, okay? And it may have dawned on you that this person really was not, I won't even say that they were not who they claimed to be, because when I see the Knight of Wands, this is not a person who necessarily is a deceptive person. Fire sign people tend to be very straightforward, and they tend not to lie about what they're about. They tend to be very straightforward, but you may have made more into it because you were attracted to them, and it really was a physical thing at the end of the day. Now, we do have this card that is talking about perhaps now or the near future with the Strength card. This is the sign of Leo. So here's another fire energy. I always associate the Knight of Wands with Aries myself. Officially, it's supposed to be Sagittarius, but now we have the other fire energy of Leo. This could simply be saying that you have recovered from that. If this was something that you're under this person's spell, that you have gotten a backbone and you're not willing to get played anymore. And if you thought about this person in ways that they didn't think about you, you're kind of aware of that now, and you're recovering from it. You're okay with it. The card that does cross you is connected to with heartbreak. So one thing I would say is that you may need to heal a little bit more. Maybe enough time has not passed. But this is also talking about 3 parties involved. So it's saying that as long as you are willing to submit to something where you know that they are involved with somebody else, then you have to own it. You know, you can't hide behind any kind of morality because you're participating in it. Maybe you didn't know before, but now you know. And that could be also what it's talking about. But I want to also bring up any kind of job aspirations, because sometimes the Knight of Wands could be a facet of you that has decided to simply not worry about stability with your employment. The Knight of Wands can be very, I was going to use the word volatile, but there's a chaotic energy with both the Knight and the Wands, because if you think about it, Wands connect with fire. And fire has that dangerous quality where all it needs is a little bit of encouragement and it can get out of control. You know, I am a Sagittarian, and all fire signs have a tendency to kind of be over the top sometimes, where they allow their enthusiasm to just run wild, and they can be very grandiose, have all these amazing plans, and you know, all it takes is a little water to kind of dampen the fires, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know, there's nothing there. So there can be these extremes of like enthusiasm that get extinguished, and so the need for moderation is important when dealing with fire energy. But for Virgo, which is sometimes overly cautious, that you may need a little bit of that fire in your belly to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish professionally. And you may have decided, hey, I'm going for it, whatever that it is. And you're not worried about it. And the Tower in this position, in this context, could be you experiencing a lot of upheaval, but you're cool with it. Like, in other words, if you're doing contract work, if you're doing work with companies that, you know, they hire and fire at a moment's notice, there's nothing stable about it. It's contracted. You end the contract, and then you don't know if you have any more work with that one employment agency or whatever. I mean, I'm talking about the company, but it's not like a permanent job. Some of you may decide to throw caution to the wind, and that's kind of what the Knight of Wands is talking about. And the Tower could be just that you were working for someone where it wasn't stable, but you still were expecting to continue to work for them, and now it just got pulled out from under you, but you're okay, you see. The only thing that you have to try to overcome is this tendency to take it personally. The advice is represented by the Hangman, and this is a card of talking about letting go and letting God. So surrendering to your situation. If it's in a personal relationship and you are dealing with getting over someone who maybe you misunderstood their intentions, or maybe they really did mislead you somehow. But whatever happened, it's about not trying to pretend that you feel other than what you feel, but just kind of surrendering to the reality of the situation, not fighting it, not trying to erase it, and just being, just allowing yourself to be, letting everything shake out. If there's a chance that this person is going to commit to you in the future and leave, if they are in another relationship, then you're willing to wait to see what happens next. You're not going to try to push the matter, and you're not going to try to worry about anything happening. You're just willing to trust that now it's the time for the universe to take over. You did all that you could. And the end result is a card, the Sun card. It doesn't get much better than this. Now, here's the deal. Here's the deal, Virgo. I just realized this because I've been thinking about the number 19. And guess what this number represents in September? The 19th is the date that Venus goes into Virgo. And the very next day is when you have a new moon in your sign. Some of you, or most of you, are going to have your solar return in September. So happy birthday to those of you in the last part of the sign of Virgo, the last 10 degrees. But all of you have your new moon there. Well, technically not the people born at the very end of the sign. Their new moon is actually going to be the Libra new moon. But for all intents and purposes, we'll say that your new moon is happening on the 20th. And this is the day before that. And so anyway, the Sun card represents happiness, romance, love, success. What else? Health, good health, you know, like healing, good, everything good. And this is also connected to Leo. So if there's some Leo person in your life, then that might be that's who you end up with. You know, I don't know if some of you were involved with an Aries or a Sagittarius, and now you're with a Leo. And maybe you're the one. Maybe you're the one in the threesome. I keep saying threesome. I did not mean threesome. I mean lover's triangle. And maybe you got found out at the time of whatever the Tower card revealed. And you're the one that's having a hard time choosing. I think if that's the case, you end up with the Leo. But in career matters, this can be great for success. Maybe you're waiting on a job offer and it comes through. So I wish you all the best in the latter portion of September, Virgo. Take care of yourselves. Bye.